Hey, this is B from Kongzaros, and I'm at WonderCon 2025 in Anaheim, California. Let's check it out. Welcome to WonderCon 2025. This is in Anaheim, California, a part of the Comic-Con family. Tons of stuff to look out, things to buy, things to see, stuff to check out. There's pinball, there's quarter arcades there that you can see. There's robots galore, pop culture phenomena. There's some arcade one-ups there. Mondo is here representing some lightsabers, and of course, Wonderland Amusements. Let's check them out. All right, here's the latest prototype from Wonderland Amusements. This is the Alice Goes to Wonderland pinball machine that is a much more upgraded prototype than the one that we saw at Pinball Expo. You can see here that now that the entire art package has been put onto this machine, it looks really, really good. You can see here that the art design, has been inspired and, upgraded from Zombie Alice into, a much more vibrant Alice. They have artwork all over the playfield, all over the sides, on the art plates, and the playfield design with the art looks great in my opinion. So from here, you got a lot of things happening underneath the glass, and they included a ton of different toys in here, including this caterpillar. It's kind of a rubbery texture right there. There's the Mad Hatter Tea Party that's 3D printed. Maybe they'll paint those later on, but this is a bash toy, which you can bash the Mad Hatter toy. There's a Cheshire Cat on a spring that when the ball rolls up the ramp, it'll hit that and move. You also have the Queen of Hearts castle in the background. Again, 3D printed for now, but planned to be injected molded and nicely painted. You have pop bumpers that look like mushroom caps there as well. So everything looks great. There's the left side art blade there, as well as the right side art blade. So different art on both sides. They did a great job of putting art all over this place, except for these targets on the left. They forgot to put the stickers on whatever these targets are going to be there, as well as the spinner on the right-hand ramp there. So those are the only pieces of missing art. They definitely can improve. I don't know if the cutouts are going to have there. There's the speakers in the back with about an 8-inch DMD. Let's take a look at the inside of the playfield now. So here's Peter taking off the castle before looking at the playfield, and they have a lot going on under the hood. I'm glad we're able to take a sneak peek here. You can see everything that's going on. They have real solenoids, a relay board for the flipper, the trough, everything you can see, but these are custom components that they've made, and they hope to be able to offer for maintenance. There's a giant relay board there. You can see the different zones there. They have magnetic hall sensors underneath, which is how they're checking all the switches and relays. Nice to take a quick peek underneath the hood. Now let's go over some raw gameplay. I have about 5 minutes of footage here. You can see 2 different games with 3 balls each there. One of the first things you can see is that the layout looks much better, and it flips pretty well in my opinion. Right now, the flipper's strength is good to actually flip the pinball machines. There is an issue, which you'll see a little bit later on, with the flipper maintaining the ball when you're trying to catch the ball on the left flipper itself. So that is something they definitely need to check out. But overall, with the 2 ramps on the left and right side going down wire forms, there are pretty interesting shots to hit. You can see me hitting that left ramp pretty consistently. The left targets there are on leaf switches, so they just kind of bounce around. They really don't kind of stay up and down, so they need to strengthen those lift switches before. We got a post save down there, right down the middle. But overall, in terms of flipping, it flips pretty decently in my opinion to be able to at least get this going, but there is absolutely zero code on this at the moment. There's nothing even on the DMD playfield. I'll share in my final thoughts kind of what's happening with the DMD, but they had some issues getting it working for this actual event. So this is just a flippable, playable demo of the game, just to be able to see the artwork, be able to flip it, see how the pinball felt. So it has some of the bones, but there's so much more potential and more things that I definitely think they need to work out before it gives all the buyers confidence that this is going to be a machine that's going to last a long time and play really well. So in the early stages of this right now, you can see right there's some flipper strength issues where it just kind of fails. Hopefully they'll address that as one of the major issues I saw on this machine. Okay, here's ball 2, and let's talk a little bit about the switches. Like, how does the game know when it rolls over certain areas or passes through things that it actually did something? How does they know it went through the out lane, the inner lane, through those top lanes there? So instead of having rollover switches, this game is using a ton of magnetic switches sensors underneath the playfield. So almost like a Hall effect sensor where the ball is really the one that's causing the sensor to roll over. So there's some arguments to be said. Oh, that's a big error ball right there. That the magnetic sensors could last longer than physical switches. The switches themselves, there are some physical switches on the left side with those leaf switches there. There is another bash toy in the kind of Newton ball on the top right with the Mad Hatter. That's a physical switch too. But otherwise, magnetic switches and opto sensors are how this is working. So there are some opto sensors as well when the ball goes through those lanes on the top that senses the ball going through, as well as in the spinner there's an opto. So once the ball passes the spinner and it flips, each little flip on the spinner is going to be able to record points too. Right now there is no points happening on the D&D. There's nothing going on in terms of code right now. So that little ball section that's getting stuck, this is a stuck area that the ball got trapped there. Hopefully they'll be able to fix this on production. So there were some mechanical issues with the game. When it first turned on, the right-hand side has a little trap door to be able to lock balls for a multi-ball. That solenoid was firing consistently and is moving up and down. And so with the code not working and being wonky, a ball going over the sensor would start a multi-ball even though you hadn't done anything. So they decided just to disable that feature for right now. Again, this is in its current state more of a flippable demo just to kind of see it with its artwork and test it out than actual any game codes. Unfortunately, it's a little bit disappointing at this stage of the game to see, but you know, in terms of what they've been able to put together in the last 5 months has been impressive so far. Last thing, as I went through the side right there, I was just pointing out that the right hand side of the outlane doesn't have any posts there, it's just metal, but that's not atypical of other games. Originally, I wanted to show some gameplay with the music, but the composer, Marco Belloni, actually has his Tango in Wonderland music copyrighted, so won't be able to play it in full, but you can kind of hear some of the background dings and dongs of the Tango in Wonderland theme, and it is very melodic, so they use very much an Alice in Wonderland theme, but this song was made in 2022, which means they had somebody that already did some work in the Alice in Wonderland universe, and so I think the songs and the theme and the music do match the gameplay a little bit. There are some really light callouts that I was hearing. I heard a call out for the White Rabbit that says, "Hey, I'm late," and then I did hear an Alice call out as well. So they are using voice actors and voice actresses to be able to add a little bit more elements into the gameplay, and so I do hope we get to see some future code where we can hear the music, the call outs, all of those elements in it as well. In fact, I really do hope that the Wonderland Amusements folks do some additional gameplay footage with the music on their own channels and things where they don't really care about monetization, where in this channel we do appreciate being able to get some YouTube revenue from watching these videos. So thank you very much, Marco Belloni, for copywriting this music. Anyways, hope you guys have been enjoying this gameplay. This is the last little piece of it here. I will also leave some links to some raw gameplay videos and pictures in case any other content creators would like to make some content on their own. Thanks so much. And final thoughts. So here I am at WonderCon. Day 1 is just about to end. I wanted to give my final thoughts on Alice Goes to Wonderland by Wonderland Amusements. Was this the showing that they hoped for when they first wanted to get here? Probably not. They actually had a couple of things go wrong, including when it was shipped out here, the DMD had some issues and got dislodged, and therefore didn't work for the actual convention itself. And so I think that was extremely disappointing to not have that fully up and running. The demo that you saw there was utilizing an LCD screen in the back. I'll share a future time about the story of what happened, but at least it was something to look at and not actually part of the game code. The game itself was just in a flippable state. There was no other code that was there. So that is something that fortunately is Wi-Fi enabled, which means that if it even ships with an early code, they'll be able to keep updating it as far as it goes. A couple of key concerns for me and things that I hope that they improve. One, the flipper strength, which is the main thing that you interact with. It's really good to flip, but there were issues with it holding its strength. So when the ball hits the flipper, the servo or the motor or something gets weak, and if you hold it for a long time, I can see it getting weaker and weaker as I played. And so that is something that definitely has to be addressed and concerned. Flippers are the main way to interact, and as soon as you lose flipper strength, then you can't play the game at all. Otherwise, the other big concerns I have are the game code itself, just to make sure that it is complete. So we didn't get to play a demo that had game code to see how it scores and how fun it is. It was a flippable experience. I was able to catch the ball, get up the ramps, move things around. I didn't have quite as a concern with the physical aspect, the physics of the game. I thought the smaller ball would have trouble with the physics of the game, but I was able to adapt pretty quickly and flip and hit shots and catch things. And so the ball adjusted and I was able to adjust to the size of the ball in the playfield. But since the ball is still smaller and the flipper strength was pretty strong, it definitely was prone to a couple of air balls. There was a couple of air balls and things that floated over the place. And then the ramps themselves, the edges of the ramps, they aren't that high. And so as they're going up the ramp, you know, they were able to just kind of fly off of that. So maybe they need to increase the height of the ramps on both sides to be able to make sure the ball stays there. So that was a concern. But otherwise, air balls are going to be a thing. They're going to be able to flip all over the place. You know, and then the major other concern is the longevity of the parts. If there was already issues when it was shipped in this capacity to a demo, and I know this is a prototype that was done by hand, I just worry about the maintenance side of things. Even though we got to see a look at the inside, and it makes me excited on what you know, was included for the $1,000 price point, that there's real solenoids and flippers and things. I can see the average home arcade buyer and user having a hard time with some maintenance if they don't consider some ways to make that easy. Yes, you could swap out some of the zones and parts easily and it's just plug and play, but otherwise it is potentially prone to break. And, you know, the longevity of these are yet to be determined because we've not seen a finished version. I did hear they plan to ship this out in 2 pieces, so the playfield will ship in 1 full piece and everything else will be flat packed, which means the back box, the actual physical body of the cabinet will be flat packed, so you'll have to put that together and then drop the playfield into the machine itself, connect some wires. And so that sort of makes sense to me, but even that seems like a lot for some people to do and for some things to go wrong. So there's going to be some build yourself components to this. You're going to have to learn some basic maintenance. You're going to have to clean the playfield eventually. There was some bits of rubber plastic, or, you know, like the film plastic that was still on the playfield that when they shipped it, so you have to like almost remove parts to peel it off. Now imagine the you know, screen protector on old arcade 1-up screens where you had to peel it off, and if you didn't unscrew things, you'd have to, you know, get those little pieces stuck. So some of those things were stuck on the playfield still when we were playing. So you're gonna have to learn basic maintenance. There should be a basic maintenance kit, I think, included, or at least instructions on how to do that. Even though Stern doesn't provide that, it's gonna be something that I think the home arcade community is gonna want. So what do I grade this? It's tough to say, you know. For me, I'm still on the fence about getting this. I really don't know. I'm more intrigued about the possibilities. If you're cautiously optimistic and you like what you see, you know, they've done a lot in 5 months. I'll give them that. The best thing that this thing has going for it is the artwork and the playfield. The artwork and design and the look of it, it looks fantastic. For an Alice pinball machine, if you're an Alice fan, I think the theme integration is really well for what they got. The code is lacking right now and some of the build quality. I hope I see some improvements before I get into final production mode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know this is going to be controversial for both the pinball community and the home arcade community. Let me know if you plan to buy it, pick it up. $850, a couple of days left in the Kickstarter. Maybe I'm hoping people will be able to get this at a discount later on and see. We'll see. I'm hoping that we'll be able to see more gameplay with code at a future point in time. So good luck to you guys. See you guys next time. Bye.